Well, moving on to the second chapter now, why change fails. Now, there are many factors that drive change within our organisations: technology, world events such as the pandemic, for example, financial factors, mergers, new ownership, etc. The list goes on. And in many instances, though, the driving forces are not that important, because as employees tend to feel that they have little or no control over the changes, well, it still results in fear and anxiety. And it doesn't really matter what the reason behind the driver of that change is. Now, if you've attended some of our previous webinars, you'll have heard me speak on many occasions about the brain's organising principle and how the brain manages and processes up to 11 pieces of information per second. The brain actually processes information at the speed of a racing car. So that's between 150 to 220 miles per hour, I am told, the speed of a Formula One car. So in order to manage this huge volume of information that our brain is absorbing and is processing every single second, then it needs to have a very simple organising principle. And that organising principle is quite simply, every piece of information will be either categorised as a potential reward. So that's something that we want, something that will be of benefit, something that will be pleasing to us, or something which is a potential threat. And anything which is not a clear reward will be automatically classified as a threat. Now, in order to keep the human race safe and ensure the survival of the human race, then the brain has a natural negative bias, which means that when we're faced with uncertainty, the unknown of a change project, we'll automatically focus on the negative of the situation, all the potential threats. And again, it's worth noting that the brain doesn't actually differentiate between a real threat and a perceived or potential threat. And negative bias shows up in all aspects of our lives. We always pay more attention and give more weight to the things we perceive as being wrong or negative than the things that we perceive as being good. You just think about if you meet somebody for the first time and think about the lasting impression that you take away. If there's been something that doesn't quite add up, that doesn't sit right with you about that person, that's a thing that you will take away, your lasting memory, if you like, or your lasting impression of that individual. You'll overlook and forget about all the things you liked about that person, but we focus in on those negative aspects. And this is all part of our innate survival system. So when it comes to organisational change, there's obviously going to be a mix of negative and positive consequences, but our innate negative bias will focus our attention and give far more weight to all the possible negative outcomes. And then our mind does what it always does, and certainly in the absence of sufficient information and lack of the appropriate type of support, our brains build huge monsters. And we imagine the worst possible case scenarios. And that all the time is adding to our fears and our anxieties.